This is Valerie Hector, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make what I'm calling a Chinese strawberry heart. It looks like this. It has 168 beads, organized into 7 different rows, okay? Each row has either 1 ring of beads or 6 rings of beads or 12 rings of beads, okay? There are no other options. We're forming rings of 6, 5, and 7 beads, okay? Now this is not a difficult technique at all. It's not real fast, but it's not real slow. And you can make one of these, and I'm going to say between an hour and an hour and a half. Make and reinforce, okay? So I'm using American-made metal beads here, size 11. I really love this size for the refined look it gives, okay? And this is also a very lightweight type of bead to be using for an earring in the size 11. This size, which is size 8, is really, I think, a little bit too heavy for an earring, though it might be great, you know, for like a necklace pendant or something, or a lariat end. I don't know, a finial maybe. All right, everything begins with 1 row of 6 beads, okay? This is 1 ring of 6 beads that also serves as row 1, okay? Now to this row, we're going to add 6 rings of 6 beads, okay? If you've ever made a Chinese pillow structure, the one I used to teach years ago, which I will teach again in these videos, this is the same way to begin, okay? It's 1 ring of 6, and then you add 6 more rings of 6. So let's get started. Doesn't matter which bead you're coming out of, okay? In this original first ring of 6 beads, your only mission is to create another ring of 6 beads. So you can see that 1 bead is already in place for this next ring of 6 beads. So we're just going to add 5 beads. And I'm teaching you using these size 8 metal beads because, you know, I think these are too small. The size 11, it's too hard for you to see, okay? So we're just going to insert the needle back through the same bead we just came out of, okay, to form the second ring of 6, and then we pull. And then we navigate over 1 bead in the original ring of 6 and pull. Now, since 2 beads are already in place for the next ring of 6, we're only going to add 4 beads. If you're not sure how to form the next ring of 6, in other words, where to go back through, play this game that I call Ask the Beads. Form the beads you've added on the string, form them around to create a ring of 6 beads. Notice where you should go in to form that ring of 6 beads, and you should go in through this bead here, okay? You don't need diagrams for this. You just need to know how to play the game. Ask the beads, okay? And now we're going to close up this ring because it's not yet truly closed by going through this bead here. Navigate over 1 bead. Go through 1 bead in the original ring of 6 beads. And now we're going to create the third ring of 6 beads in row 2 by adding 3 beads. Excuse me, adding 4 beads. We add 4 beads because 2 are already in place. So we're going to go through this one and pull. Okay, and so we have now added our third ring of 6 beads. Navigate over by putting the needle through the next bead in the original ring of 6 that's now sitting in the center, and add 4 beads. Insert the needle through this bead here, and this bead here, and pull. Navigate over one bead in the original ring of 6 beads that's now in the center, and add 4 beads. Go through this bead, and now we arrive at our final ring of 6 beads here. 3 of those beads are already in place for the final ring of 6 beads. That's this bead, and this bead. I want to get into position to create the final ring of 6 beads in row 2. Go through this one and this one. And how many are we going to add? Only 3. And we know that we want to form a ring of 6 beads, so we go through this one here. Go up through this one to close up the ring. Now let's take a moment and just make sure that all of our rings of 6 beads are perfectly formed. Can't tell you how many times I have mistakenly added the wrong number of beads, and then I just keep going. I keep building the structure, and then I realize that, uh-oh, I made an error in row 2 because I didn't stop to check. Okay? Now, we want to get into position to start building row 3. Okay? And row 3 is shown here. It's 12 rings of 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6 beads. Okay? Now you can build this any way you want, but here's what I'm going to teach you. Here's how I do it to stay sane and do it easily. Okay? I always build a ring of 5 beads first, and I build it in a certain place. I build it at the top of a ring of 6, which is to say I don't build it in between 2 rings of 6 beads here. See? I build it at the top of one ring of 5 beads. Could build it at the top of one ring of 6 beads. Could build it at the top of this ring of 6 beads, or this ring of 6 beads, or any ring of 6 beads, okay? So here's what you want to remember. The 5 begins at the top of the 6. This is the top of the 6. Now 1 bead is already in place, okay? So how many should we add? That's right, 4 beads. All right, go back through the bead that we just came out of and create this ring, this first initial ring of 5 beads in row 3. The next ring, as we said, is going to have 6 beads in it. We want to navigate over 2 beads. So 1 and 2 to get into position to build this ring of 6 beads. 3 beads are already in place. 1, 2, 3. So all we're going to add is 3. Now we know that we want to create a ring of 6 beads. Once again, let's play Ask the Beads. Where do we go through to form a ring of 6? Well, it's clear that we go through, excuse me, this one right here. Okay. And we might as well work our way over, make sure this ring is nice and closed. And there it is. Okay. Now let's get into position to create the next ring of 5 beads. So go through this bead, just 1 bead, navigating over, just 1 bead. 2 beads are already in place for this next ring of 5 beads, so just add 3. Go back down through this bead here. And then we're going to work our way over to this one. We've got a very nice ring of 5 beads here. This extra bit of thread here is because we haven't reinforced yet. And it'll tighten up when we reinforce. Navigate over 2 beads to get into position to build the next ring of 6 beads. 3 are in place, so add 3. navigate over one bead to get into position to build the next ring of 5 beads. How many are already in place? 2. So let's just add 3. And by now you've noticed that in row 3, it just seems like we're always adding 3 beads per ring, no matter what size of ring we're building. And that's true for the most part. It'll change near the end. Changed at the beginning, we added a little bit more. All right, let's navigate over 2 beads to get into position to build the next ring of 6 beads. 3 are in place, so add 3. And now I'm going to stop talking, and you can just watch what I'm doing. Okay. Sometimes it's easier to learn when there's no sound. And here we come to the very last ring in this row 3, which is going to be a ring of 6 beads. Okay, see there's a ring of 5 here and a ring of 5 here. So we know that we have to have a ring of 6 in the middle. Okay, now if you tilt the structure like this, you can see that 4 of the beads are already in place. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have to get into position to add the final 2 beads in this ring by working our way up, connecting the 4 existing beads, or 3 of them anyway. Add 2 beads, and again, all we're doing is forming the final ring of 6 beads. Not sure where to go? Play Ask the Beads. We'll see, by holding them in position, they tell us this is where we go. Okay. Great. Now, I'm not going to do this here in the video because I want to keep moving forward here. But what I would advise you to do right now is reinforce. Take the time now to reinforce rows 1 to 3 really thoroughly. Fill the bead holes about 75% full of thread, if not 80%. Okay? what you want. You see how flexible and loose this is? You can really bend it completely in half. This is way too loose. It is never going to form like a stable structure here. Okay, it's going to form a floppy, wimpy structure. You want rows 1 to 3 to be like this, to hardly bend at all. Obviously, you have to leave some room in these beads here in row 3 to begin to create row 4, right? But not that much, especially if you're working with these metal beads. These have very ample holes, okay? So don't be afraid to fill them. And so far as I can tell, these beads don't split, even though they do have a seam. They don't split often, so don't be afraid. Fill them pretty full, okay? And at this point, I think I will probably just set this aside and start using this one because it's already nice and firm. Okay, so we have rows 1 to 3 here. What is row 4? Row 4 is really simple. It's all rings of 6, 12 rings of 6 beads. Really simple, really straightforward. Okay, so let me add a new thread here. You can use any thread you want for this technique. Right now I'm using Coats and Clark's hand quilting thread in green so that hopefully it helps you, distinguish between the beads and the thread. Okay, I'm going to insert my needle anywhere. Doesn't really matter where. This is really well reinforced, so I'm pretty sure the thread will catch without my forming a knot. Okay. Now, where are we going to form these rings of 6 beads? We are going to go up here like this, and we're splitting a pair of beads. Do you see this pair? To form our rings of 6 beads, we're splitting pairs of 2. All right, so let's pull. So we're in between a pair of beads right here. We're going to add 4 beads and then split this pair of beads here. Okay, so that's how we add all the rings of 6 in row 4. We're adding 4 beads for the first ring. Okay, and there is our first ring, perfectly formed. Now we're going to navigate over 2 beads until we split the next pair. Okay, and now 3 beads are already in place. 1, 2, 3. So all we have to do is add 3. Go back through and pull. Now notice at this point that we're starting to get a really nice curve, in the structure, because this is a tapering down row. Navigate over 2 beads. Add 3 beads to form the next ring of 6. And pull. I'll probably just snip this thread really fast. I'm snipping the tail. Navigate over 2 beads. Here's 1 and 2. See how we're splitting a pair. Add 3 more. Close up the ring of 6. Pause for a second to make sure we really have 6 in every ring. Does that look right? Yeah, that's right. Navigate over 2 beads and pull. Add 3 more. Close up the ring of 6. Make sure it's well formed. It really has 6. Navigate over 2 beads. Add 3. Navigate over 2. Add 3 beads. Close up the ring. Navigate over 2. Add 3. Close up that ring. Navigate over 2. You'll be doing this in your sleep. You'll be a master after this. You probably won't need this video again because this is so easy once you get the hang of it. Okay, we can't get through all 3 of them, so yeah, we'll just go through 2. Navigate over 2. If you can't get both in one fell swoop, just settle for 1. Then do another 1. Add 3 beads. Close up the ring. Navigate over 2. Add 3. Close the ring. And look where we are. We're already at the final ring of 6 beads, okay? Now, already 4 beads are in place. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want to get into position to add the final 2 beads in this ring. So we're just firming up the bottom of the ring. And now we only add 2 beads to create this final ring of 6 beads in row 4. Okay. Close up the ring. Make sure it's closed all the way. And navigate up to get into position to create the next row, which is row 5. Okay, I'll add a little more wax. I like a really well waxed thread. All right, now let me show you. See, we just finished row 4. What I would do now if I weren't, trying to move through this video is I would take the time to reinforce this really well, right? So that it looks more like this. It's nice and firm, like it's a bowl, right? Right now it's more like, I don't know, a very spread out bowl, like a tray. We want it to be like a bowl, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to move on. I want you to know that row 5 is just a mirror image of row 3. Okay, so we know this is row 4. Row 4 is all 6 beads. This is row 3. It's 6, 5, 6, 5. Well, as it happens, row 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is just going to be a mirror image. So if you have a ring of 6 beads here in row 3, that means you're going to have a ring of 6 beads here in row 5. You have a ring of 5 beads in row 3 here. You're going to have a ring of 5 beads in row 5, okay? So whenever you're unsure, just look back at row 3 and know that you're creating the same exact ring as you had there, okay? So how do we do that? Well, here, look, I've got a ring of 5 beads right here, okay? So I know that I want to create a ring of 5 beads right here. Well, how should I do that? Let's do what's intuitively apparent, right? Go through this bead here and pull. How many beads are in place of this ring of 5? Well, 2 are already in place, so let's add 3. We know we probably have to go through this one to create the ring of 5. Then we have to close up the ring. There's our perfect ring of 5. Okay, right next to it, we know we're going to have a ring of 6. So let's navigate over to get into position to split this pair of beads here. And we're in position to add this next ring, which is going to have 6 beads. 3 are already in place. 1, 2, 3. So let's add 3. Let's close up the ring real nicely. Make sure it's in the right place. Here's one ring of 6 in row 3, and here's our new ring of 6 in row 5. That's beautiful. All right, let's split the next pair of beads to get into position to create another ring of, this time, 5 beads, because we just had 6 here. 3 are in place. 1, 2, 3. So let's add 2. Close up the ring. Check to be sure it's really a ring of 5. Yeah, it is. It's looking good. Navigate over, split a pair, pull. Now we're in position to add the next ring of 6 beads. For that, we have to add 3. Okay, did we get that right? Yeah, that's right. All right, navigate over, split a pair to get into position to add the next ring. And since this ring had 6, we know this ring will have 5. Add 2 beads. Go through this one, and this one. Check to make sure that's correct. Navigate over, split a pair, pull. How many do we need? Okay, this is going to be a ring of 6 beads, so 3 are in place. Let's add 3. Okay, and from here I'll just start working and stop talking, because I think you can tell what we're doing. Okay, and so we're already at the final ring. Okay, so we know that we've got 5 on one side, 5 on the other. So this must be a ring of 6 beads. Let's get into position to create this ring. Okay, let's connect the beads on the bottom of the ring. 4 beads in total are already in place, so we're just going to add 2. Go through this one, and this one. All we're doing is closing up the ring of 6 that we just created. All right, so that is the 5th row now finished. Okay, take a minute here and notice how loose this is, and that if I were making this for real, I would be sitting here and reinforcing right now until I've got a really firm structure. Okay, notice that we've got a pair, if I'm right, yeah. It looks like we have a pair of beads and then 1 single bead, then a pair of beads and 1 single bead, a pair, a single, whatever. So, you know, it's not a bad idea to just check and see if you've really got it down before you spend the time to reinforce it. Does it look right? Okay. All right, so that's row 5. Now let's check out row 6. I love row 6. It has 7 beads per ring and only 6 rings, okay? It seems kind of counterintuitive to have 7 beads per ring. I don't know why, it just does. And only 6 rings, but there it is, okay? So let's start building our first ring of 7 beads, okay? Let's study this, okay? We can see that each ring of 7 beads gets formed between 2 rings of 6, you see? The 7s are born between the 2 6, all right? So with that in mind, and knowing, you know, that we already often split a pair of beads. Let's get to work, okay? Now 3 beads are already in place for our first ring, and I'm coming out of a ring of 6 beads in row 5 here, and I'm going to add 4 beads and skip over to this bead in the next ring of 6 beads over, okay? And there, I only added, did I get that right? Nope, I created a ring of only 6 beads when I really want to create a ring of 7. So let's undo, add 1 bead. So we're adding a total of 4 beads, okay, for our first ring of 7. And pull. And there's our first ring of 7, okay? Now we're going to navigate over to get into position to add our next ring of 7. So go through this bead, and this bead, and this bead, okay? Now 4 beads are already in place. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many will we add? We're going to add 3. Go through this bead here. We're going through 4 beads in all, and pull. And that's our second ring of 7. All right, navigate over. Going through 3 beads here. 4 are already in place for our next ring of 7. So let's add 3. And then stitch up this ring of 7 beads. Stitch around it. Pull. Navigate over. Go through 1, this one, and this one, and this one. So we're navigating over by 3. 4 beads are already in place, so we're going to add 3. Navigate over 3 beads. 4 are in place, so add 3. And now we're navigating over to get into position to create our final ring of 7 beads. Okay. And the base of this ring of 7 is formed by these beads here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 beads are already in place for this final ring of 7. So we're just going to add 2 beads. All right, and we're just about out of thread, as you can see. But we will close up this ring of 7 beads. Okay, very, very loose. If I had more thread here, believe me, I would be working it in and securing everything and reinforcing everything. Okay, So that is rows 1 through 6. The only thing that's left is row 7. Row 7 has 6 rings of 5 beads, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rings of 5 beads. Here is row 6 here, 6 rings of 7. Now we're going to drop down to 6 rings of 5, okay? I think I'll just use this finished sample. This is how it should look. This is how tight it should be. Even a little bit tighter than this after you've added rows 1 to 6. Make it really tight before you move on and add row 7. Okay, I'm going to switch threads here. I'm going to work with a black thread here. This is actually 1G, not my most favorite thread, but it does work. Okay, so let's secure the thread. Okay, anchor it here. Let's take a second to observe what have we got here. We've got 6 pairs of beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that we're going to be creating 6 rings of 5. So we don't really have a lot of choice here. We're going to go up through this bead here. We could also go up through this bead here. You know, there's multiple ways to make each one of these Chinese structures. I'm just showing you the way that makes sense to me, that's easy. Now 2 of the beads are already in place for this first ring of 5 beads in row 7. So we're just going to add 3. Okay. Let's go back through this one here, go up through this one here, pull slowly. There we got our first ring of 5 beads. Okay. Navigate over 2 beads. Let's build our next ring of 5 beads. 3 beads are in place. 1, 2, 3. So we're just going to add 2. Close up the ring nicely. Navigate over 2 beads. Form the next ring of 5. Make sure that ring is nicely closed. Navigate over 2 beads. Form the next ring of 5. Make sure that ring is nice and closed. How many rings do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we still have 2 more to add. Okay, let's add 2 beads. Navigate over. And see that 4 beads are already in place for our final ring of 5 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get into position by closing up the bottom of this final ring. Add 1 bead. Close up the ring. Work your way around to the upper perimeter here. of this row. And so here we have 6 beads here that really need to be connected, okay? So let's stitch around them. Okay, so this strawberry heart is basically done. I want to show you one thing though, too. See, I didn't really like the way the tip does not come to a tip. You know, it's kind of a blunt tip. And so I added, for this size, these beads in size 8, I added 3 beads at the bottom. I just kind of, you know, stitched 2 and then I stitched 1, all right? But when I did this one in the size 11 beads, I only added 1 bead at the bottom because I had too much trouble adding more than that, okay? So really the bottom, what you do with the tip is up to you. I've got to snip this thread. It's going to drive me crazy here. All right. How you want to, whether you want to create a nice point at the end or leave it kind of blunt, look, that's up to you, okay? But let me show you how I finished off this one in the size 8 beads. First, I stitched on 2 beads, okay? And I didn't have any real game plan here other than to stitch on 2 and see if that would work. So I stitched from here over to here, okay? And then I just stitched on 1 more bead. That seemed to create a nice point, right? And there's no real right or wrong way to do this, just any way that makes a nice tip, okay? So it's kind of a 3 bead tip here at the bottom, and I like that a lot, okay? Now I would go around and definitely reinforce row 7 and the tip, and then you're done. You know, add your finding or not, and you're ready to go. Congratulations, you have finished your first strawberry heart, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Subscribe, please, if you like what I'm doing here, and I'll keep making more.